Hello there, my name is Nomik and today I'm going to give you a few tips of how to use reverb in your productions. As you see, I have drawn up a few tracks already in my project file. There are 3 guitar tracks and a vocal phrase. The vocal phrase is by Cymatics from the Euphoria sample pack. It sounds like this.
I could be the one for you.
It's a very nice, clean, processed vocal signal, but it has no reverb on it. And yeah, I have 3 different guitar tracks that I just recorded. One is then we have another one. And the third one. So these are the tracks that I'm going to apply reverb to, and well, I give you a few tips of how to use reverb. Today I'm going to use Ableton's stock reverb plugin. This is not my go-to reverb, but I think it does the job well, and it's good to learn the basics if you don't have any other third-party plugin to use. So before we go into the actual reverbs, the reason why I think it's important to use reverb in your productions is that you're having sounds that were recorded very much upfront in a microphone that is this close to somebody's mouth. Most of the time as electronic music producers we work with these kinds of samples, and we want to put them in space. When we're using reverb, we're trying to place the sounds that we're using in the space, in the mixing space basically. So this is the vocal phrase that we have.
I could be the one for you.
If you're applying the stock Ableton reverb, this is how it sounds.
I could be the one for you.
Okay, not bad. Actually, there are some very basic things. I'm not going to show you the whole plugin. Normally I'm using this on high quality mode, and yeah, the most important thing that you wanna set is the decay time. This can be very huge. Well, if we make it like almost 10 seconds, it's going to be almost like a cathedral.
I could be the one for you.
It's very messy, very muddy, but it has loads of reverb. Then we have the dry wet signal, which is very important.
I could be the one for you.
We can go fully wet, and yeah, I'm also using on all the reverbs the low cut and the high cut. So if we're just cutting the lows, this is what we're getting in the reverb.
I could be the one for you.
Now you hear that the reverb is basically just a hiss, just somewhere up in the very, very high frequencies. And if we're using a strong high cut,
I could be the one for you.
then we get a much darker, much more subtle reverb. Then we have pre-delay. It's very important because if we're using pre-delay, we can separate the reverb from the original sound. So if we're having no pre-delay, let me just play the very, very beginning of the sample, and I'm going to stop it. And if we have 250 milliseconds delay, it's like this. You hear that the reverb starts to kick in a bit later. So again, this is the dry signal.
I could be the one for you.
And this is what I want to put in space.
I could be the one for you.
But this is definitely way too much. So this is how you use a reverb like an insert. But you can use it as an aux reverb or a return track. So let me show you how we do this. In Ableton you wanna right click, and then you wanna insert a return track, and you want to on this return track, let's now insert the very same reverb. So now I'm holding down Alt and moving the reverb around because now I have copied it here. I'm going to mute it or deactivate the reverb on my Vox track. So now you hear that we already have the dry signal. And we have the reverb here at our return track. You can only hear the return track if you add it to a certain track through a send channel that you can see here. And we're going to start to add the reverb here. As you can hear, when I'm doing this, it's going to add a nice reverb signal to the whole thing. Well, actually, the way how you should be using this is try to set it to 100% wet on the reverb channel.
I could be the one for you.
Now let's do an A/B tests. Okay, let's mute this one and let's get back our original reverb. It's the same setting.
I could be the one for you.
Other one.
I could be the one for you.
You can hear the difference in the second case when I'm using it as a return send track. The reverb is much more subtle and you can hear the original vocal phrase much better, much clearer. Now let's go on to the guitars to give you another option of how to use reverbs. Now I'm going to use this one because it's a short snappy sound. As you can see, I'm already having a processed guitar. This is what I normally use with my clean guitars. So let's throw a reverb here. Yeah. Just playing around a bit with the reverb. Something like this, but I could also use the same return track like I did with the vocal, which would sound like this. Let me slowly and gradually. It works very good like here. Let's listen to it with the.
I could be the one for you.
That's not bad at all.
I could be the one for you.
Yeah, and if I'm using it without the reverb,
I could be the one for you.
as you can hear, I'm using loads of reverb here, but you can still hear it. And let me show you a third way of using a reverb. This is also, but let's use another guitar track, so let's use this one.
I could be the one for you.
A good way of doing a reverb, let's collapse these two, so now we're only using this guitar track, is to duplicate it first, and I'm going to use this one, the original one, this, as it is in a completely dry signal, and I'm going to add a reverb to the duplicated track. I'm going to set it the way that I like. It has a bit too much low, because the original also has loads of lows. Okay, so now we have a clean signal, and we have how to make use of this. Well, the way I'm going to do it, then
I could be the one for
here I have the clean signal, and I'm going to gradually bring up the other one. Now I have two separate tracks. I have a clean track and a reverb track. These are a few ways. Now let's go back to the original. Sorry.
I could be the one for you.
And just by using a very basic guitar. So just by using a very basic guitar and a very basic vocal track, you can come up with a working track just by adding some very basic reverb to it. So let me show you before and after reverb.
I could be the one for you.
I'm back, and now with reverb.
I could be the one for
A bit of drum.
I could be the one for you. I could be the one for you.
Okay, I hope that you learned a few new ways how to use reverb in your production. So don't forget that you can either use a reverb as an insert on your track, you can use it as a send return track, or you can duplicate the track that you're reverbing and use one track as the original dry signal and the other track as a wet signal, and then mix the two together and come up with a nice sounding reverb. Thanks for watching, and as always, more good stuff coming soon.